Start all there. And, all right, here we go. We will be going live now.
I'd like an answer to the question, Judge. You can't handle the truth!
I ate his liver with some fava beans and a nice Chianti.
Rubs the lotion on its skin or else it gets the hose again.
Welcome to After Hours AM, The Criminal Code, with your hosts, Joel Sturgis, Eric Olsen, and Dr. Clarissa Cole.
Edition of After Hours AM. I'm your host, Joel Sturgis. Right along with me,
Eric Olsen.
And no Dr. Clarissa Cole, not yet. She will be on hour 2, but not for hour 1. She got stuck in prison. No, literally, she got stuck in prison.
Yeah. Well, she does that, as we know.
Well, yeah, she's like that. She's always our co-host is a forensic psychologist, Dr. Clarissa Cole. Let's see if I can add her here, if it'll allow that. So I do see she might even be trying to call in. Hello. Hello.
Hey, Joel.
Hey, you sound. We're live on radio, by the way.
Oh, my goodness.
So
Hello.
I hear you, but that whole thing. I hear you, and you sound pretty good. But are you going to be live with us, or do you want to wait for hour 2?
I can be live with you. I am actually almost back to my home, and I can tune in via Skype at that time.
Oh, that sounds good. Let me go ahead and we will add everybody else into this call and get that a-rocking and a-rolling. We're live even on Facebook.
Oh, my goodness. Hello,
I
Facebook.
know, right? It's a crazy mixed up way of doing things, but I'm getting everyone added in here now. And, good times. Modern technology is not being my friend right now.
I hear you. How do I connect with you on Skype later? Can I just...
Well, we'll figure that out. We'll figure that out when we get there.
All right. Sounds good.
We'll get that all figured out. So not a problem. Eric, you with us?
Hello.
Hello. We're connected back up. Dr. Cole is now with us, and she's the one that caused the fly in the ointment. So if you want to yell at someone, yell at her. Eric.
So sorry.
Eric, how you doing, man?
Hello.
Hey, there you are. I feel all discombobulated now doing this whole thing the way we're doing it live on Facebook, so it's a little strange. But
what happened?
Blame Dr. Cole. She's the one that dumped the call, man. She messed with her call system. No, she didn't do anything horribly
As
wrong.
long as we didn't have dead air for 2 minutes.
We did not. Me and Dr. Cole are just talking about you for 2 minutes.
Were you now?
You're going to have to go back and listen to the archive to get that one now. I mean, that one is pretty juicy.
Well, hello, Clarissa.
Hey, Eric. How's it going?
Good. You sound like you're calling on Alexander Graham Bell's own phone.
I totally wish the historic value of that. No, I'm calling from the road. I was trapped at a prison today.
Well, not every day could say that you're trapped in a prison. But anyhow, we're doing things a little bit differently. We're going to do the guest in hour 1, guys, and then hour 2, we're going to do all the headlines everyone loves. So I will step aside and let Eric do the introductions.
All right. Absolutely. Very excited about this. It's really a tremendous show, and we're always happy to be working with our buds over at Investigation Discovery. We are talking tonight about the brand new show, a relatively new show, been on, I think, 3 episodes thus far, In Pursuit with John Walsh, tireless crusader for justice and victims' rights advocate. John Walsh joins America's leading true crime network, Investigation Discovery, on their joint mission to track down fugitives on the run and find missing children via new series In Pursuit with John Walsh. Each week, John leads viewers through unsolved violent crimes where time is of the essence and harnessing the power of ID's active and engaged audience to bring these criminals to justice. Joining John in every episode is his son, Callahan Walsh, who leads the operation on the ground, working in tandem with the community and local authorities to search for persons of interest. In Pursuit of John Walsh made its world premiere on Wednesday, January 16th at 10 Pacific and Eastern, and runs for 12 consecutive weeks on, as we mentioned, Investigation Discovery. Particularly interesting, Investigation Discovery will tap into its uniquely engaged audience, and boy, they are, to help track down these persons of interest in an active call center at, listen to this, 1-833-3-PURSUE, P-U-R-S-U-E, and dedicated online hub at inpursuittips.com are staffed by trained operators who will accept anonymous tips and alert the proper authorities. To engage with the show, viewers are encouraged to connect. And it's on right now, my friends. Will be in an hour. Hashtag Team In Pursuit. Join In Pursuit with John Walsh Facebook page at facebook.com, In Pursuit with John Walsh, and connect on Instagram at Investigation Discovery or Twitter at Discovery ID. There is much more to discuss, and we will be doing just that with our guest. Her name is Michelle Sigona, and Hello, Michelle. We're going to talk about you now, dear. She is the digital producer for the show, and what a background she has. She's been with John Walsh. She was telling us before the show began 20 years ago, and has been working with him for much of the last 20 years. Michelle is a national correspondent and Emmy Award-winning television journalist. Over her career, Michelle has covered thousands of breaking and historical crime news stories, including the tragedies of September 11, 2001, the D.C. sniper murders, the Aurora movie massacre, and the Newtown school shooting in Connecticut. Michelle has made her mark on the crime world in a number of capacities. She's been inside prisons across the U.S., interviewing dangerous criminals, and has interviewed thousands of victims' families and survivors of crimes. More recently, Michelle was a national correspondent for the daytime Emmy-nominated show Crime Watch Daily, and she was the CBS News 48 Hours Crime Cider reporter covering law and justice issues each day. Prior to these, oh boy, she has done it all. Michelle was on air and produced for the Fox primetime crime-fighting show America's Most Wanted. John Walsh. For over 13 years, she worked through every position behind the scenes until she became national correspondent. She traveled around the world to track down fugitives and find missing people during the week while running the primetime 1-800 Crime TV hotline every Saturday night. This woman never sleeps.
She doesn't. I think they have her chained to a radiator.
Oh, my God. That's pet her on the head. Good, Michelle. She managed a staff of 25 by making critical decisions like when to move to a lead to track down a dangerous fugitive and how to work with investigators across the globe to increase arrests. There is so much more to say, but we will discuss it with her directly. Welcome to the program, Michelle Sigona.
It's so nice to be with you guys. Thank you so much for making time for us.
Yeah, our pleasure. How did a nice girl like you get wrapped up in a life of crime? Or, other people's lives of crime. Let's just clarify that.
You know, I had an incident at one of my first jobs when I was 14 years old. And I was a victim of an armed robbery. And that whole entire situation, I really studied the suspect when he was in there, gave a very detailed description. And at the end of the day, both guys were arrested and I had to testify, although I don't remember that portion, only my mom does. And I knew from that moment on, I was going to do something in law enforcement. I actually thought I was going to be a police officer. But then when I was in college, my cousin lived next to a guy who was just starting out at America's Most Wanted, and he gave her his business card. She wrapped it up for me for my birthday, and the rest is history. I went in there and I said, I'm going to get an internship and I'm going to walk out of here with a job. And I worked around the clock, and thank goodness that's what happened.
Wow. So it just kind of, you fell into it.
I did. But you know what's so funny is I was going through some boxes the other day and I came across some pictures of when I was 11 years old on the America's Most Wanted set and on the Fox 5 news set in Washington, D.C. I don't remember being there. I have no idea who took me there. But then 9 years later, I ended up working for both shows because they were in the same building. So I would work at one during the day and the other at night, and then skip out occasionally and go to my college classes.
You know, and you worked with such an influential show for how many years? I mean, America's Most Wanted was on how many seasons? I want to say 17 or 18, right?
Yeah, 25 years total.
Wow.
25 years, yeah.
That's some staying power.
I'm telling you, I have seen the show work in the most amazing ways. It takes your breath away sometimes.
How many people were captured directly because of America's Most Wanted?
More than 1,400, more than 60 successful missing children recoveries. And when we say direct result capture, that means maybe someone saw it on the show. Maybe someone saw it online. Maybe they called their tip into local law enforcement. Maybe they called it into us. But either way, that information led to a capture, which in turn, resulted from the show and the work that was put into it.
We'd love.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh,
go ahead, Eric. Sorry, man. I'm just getting used to this whole Facebook Live thing, so don't mind me. I'm just hitting switches.
Very cool. Well, we should mention that both in the article, from which, of course, I just read the bio and the description of the show, and it's where you can, one of the many places, of course, you can hear the show live. I wanted to make sure people know, included with that, Clarissa wrote up a really interesting, fascinating, actually, and very laudatory write-up of basically the legacy of John Walsh. And I think it would be super interesting, Clarissa, now for you to talk a little bit with Michelle directly and maybe put some of your insights out there and get some feedback on that, because obviously Michelle was there, ground floor, and your assessment is very detailed and intricate and positive.
Thank you. Can everybody hear me?
Yes. Can, yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I wanted to know if John ever discussed, getting things into the NCIC. That's the FBI database for missing things and people.
Oh my goodness, the things John has done over the years, it's too hard to even list them all, to be honest. From founding the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, where I'm at right now, because they're hosting our hotline here for investigation discovery, to working with law enforcement across the country and programs and helping people and doing whatever he can. So I'm sure at some point there's been some sort of conversation, but I don't know all the details of it.
I mean, I think that piece cannot be underestimated, though. Before that, there wasn't any place really nationally for parents to go. Was there to talk about?
Not really. There wasn't anywhere nationally, was there, guys, for parents to go?
Did we lose Clarissa?
We might have lost her, but she was asking if there was anywhere. Yeah, there we go. Here we go. Yeah, your cell phone dropped just for a second there, Dr. Cole. But basically, I'll relay what you're asking. Clarissa's curious, where did parents go? Was there anywhere for parents to go to report this?
To report
prior to this. Let me
prior to
that.
America's Most Wanted, or the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children?
Yes.
Or the NCIC specifically?
I do believe she was referring to the NCIC. Dr. Cole, are you there?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Go ahead. Yeah, I do believe she was referring to the NCIC.
Got it.
No, I was actually referring to the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children.
Gotcha.
Okay.
No place for parents, no national place for parents to go for any sort of support. I mean, they could go to their local offices, but where could they go for advice on how to handle this? I mean, John was kind of the catalyst for that, wasn't he?
Absolutely. He and Reve, his wife, and now Callahan, They have done so much work to help so many families with the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. And I think it's really important for folks to know that it's a nonprofit. It relies on donations, just like many other nonprofits do. Families can reach out to them not for help, but they can also reach out if you have a tip. For instance, the cyber tip line houses operators that will take in leads on cases where children are being abused. I mean, there's so many different entities. There's a whole division for children that parents can teach their children online safety through NetSmarts. There's so many different divisions that have really blossomed over the years just from the inception of the National Center. And, you know, the staff here is tremendous. There's so many people who work here. And I will tell you that they are able to do age-enhanced photos on so many of these cases. They handle all the missing children posters. I mean, it's mind-blowing, the work that they do, especially not just with families, but also with law enforcement to help with these recoveries. And they're really utilizing social media to help with these recoveries.
That is awesome. I mean,
fantastic. Clarissa, are you there?
Yes, I am.
All right, follow through, pursue, discuss more, or I will jump in with both feet as is my wont.
I feel like we're talking with two cans and a string.
I'm so sorry. I will be home shortly. No, I wanted to say that, like, the FBI used to keep records in the National Center, the information database that they had, the NCIC. And before John Walsh, they only kept records of, get this, of missing things. You know, like robberies, thefts, things like that. And it was John Walsh that brought up that they should be keeping records of missing people.
You know what? And guys, could I call you back in just a couple of moments? We actually have breaking news here, and I've got to run next door to the hotline.
Sure, go to your hotline.
Can I call you right back?
Yeah. News is breaking.
Drama in real life.
Yeah. Get over there. Get after. What are you still doing here?
I'm running next door, guys. I'll call you right back.
All right, sounds good. Well, drama in real life right there, Eric.
Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, it just shows you how real all this is. Clarissa, this would be a great time. I really did want to make sure people know about your article. And, of course, I quoted some of it in our article on the America's Most Haunted site. And, again, of course, people can hear the show live there or in recorded form. But, the whole article where you're talking about the legacy of John Walsh is on your site, of course, the wondrous Criminal Code. And I thought you had some really interesting insights. Your basic thrust was we actually pursue, criminal justice differently in this nation because of him and his team and his efforts. Would you like to go into that a little further, more beyond what we've already discussed with Michelle?
John Walsh, to think that one person, and with his wife, I don't want to discount what Reve has done. Like with John and his wife, what they have done, they have overhauled the American justice system. Like I said, the FBI database didn't keep records on people. And since he pushed so hard for that, and they changed the entire database of the FBI to include missing people, thousands of people have been recovered, some of them alive and well, some of them not, but at least the families can get closure. He totally reformed how parents interact with their children, and he brought to the fore the idea that predators, specifically sexual predators, are out there and that they prey on children. And correct me if I'm wrong, because I wasn't around, I was around, but I don't remember. Do you remember that, Eric, being part of sort of the American experience before what happened with Adam Walsh?
Oh, no, not anything like the level of awareness. That case was so huge, and it was so gut-wrenching and so awful, and the details of it. And then you saw it after the fact that here's the father. He's come forward. Oh, he's not just, he doesn't, well, maybe there's something more going on there than just a grieving father. What's he going to do? And then just to see how he literally threw himself. I don't even remember what his background was. I'm sure you could tell us. prior to throwing himself into this pursuit of justice for, first of all, finding people, because that's so critical. And the timing, we've learned that, and you've told us so many times, Clarissa, that the timing of these things is so critical, and it's so important that we find people, track them down as quickly as possible and act in real time. So the fact that he was able to sort of assemble this national audience every week for all those years, yes, it absolutely changed the way we think about it, the way we hear about it, the perception of it. I was, I suppose, vaguely aware that people did, despicable, perverted things and even ended up killing children, but it really was very hush-hush. And it's I don't think my perception was different from most of the rest of the nation, that was something very rare. It was something that didn't happen very often. Remember when I was a kid, and of course you guys have both talked about it too, you're almost 20 years younger than I am, or certainly 15 years younger than I am. But you guys too, even in your childhoods, you were able to run around. You felt pretty safe. Your parents thought you were pretty safe. And, part of the legacy here, in some ways, I guess it's a downside, but it's also realism. The fact that parents became so much more protective of their children, so much more aware of what their children were doing and keeping track of them rather than just sending them out, all summer long, say, when they weren't in school, just sending them out. I don't want to see you till the sun goes down. I want you to run around and play and have fun. And be busy and stay the hell away from me was basically, one of the central
yes, I could tell you
precepts of parenthood. So, but anyway, to answer your question, yes, absolutely. When he came along and the tragedy of it and his just dogged pursuit of this as a concept, and to make the best out of tragedy. Even that was something kind of new at the time. The notion of, instead of just being a victim, of turning what could be victimhood into a positive, proactive approach, even that was a relatively new, or if not new, relatively much lesser known path that people can take. He really showed people how to take the worst possible experience and turn it into something that has literally benefited the entire nation and really the world. Hundreds of millions of people have lived better lives because of his efforts, and that's an amazing thing.
Well, I think
go ahead.
I was
Joel,
going to say,
go ahead.
really, there was two shows that impacted the criminal landscape like none other, and that was, of course, John Walsh and Unsolved Mysteries. Those are the two that really came on the scene and made an impact. And John Walsh's show, though, he came from a place of tragedy where a lot of people are already asking me on Facebook Instant Messenger, well, what happened to John Walsh's son? John Walsh's son was unfortunately murdered by a serial killer, or a child killer.
You can get the entire. There is a link on the criminal code to the entire story if you want it. It's in the John Walsh article. There's a link right at the top.
Yep, exactly. And if you guys,
why don't you give us the basics of it, though, Clarissa, for those who can't get to a computer right now? Why don't you just give us the basics of Adam's case?
Adam Walsh was 6 years old, and they lived in a small community called Hollywood, Florida. And they went to the mall one day, and John and his wife were shopping, and 6-year-old Adam was playing a video game. You know, those little stations that they had for kids to try things out. And so they left him there to kind of play the game while they were talking to a salesperson. But while they left Adam there, the other kids, the older kids, got very rowdy. And so one of these mall security people ushered the kids outside the mall. And Adam was young and shy and didn't speak up for himself and say, no, my parents are right over there. He didn't do that. He let the security guard usher him out. And Otis Toole, a known serial killer and offender against children, happened to be looking around for a child to abduct. He'd been to the mall the 2 days prior looking for someone, didn't find anyone. And he said that when he saw Adam, that it was a sign because he was so young and so alone. And he went and he picked him up and took him into his car and murdered him not long after that.
God, what a tragedy, though. And it's unfortunate that's what sparked the change, was that horrible act by that guy.
And there's been a lot of backlash with that, too. I addressed that in the article, too, that people are upset about the idea of predator panic.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean,
and stranger danger.
Is there predator panic? Is it overblown, or is it just better? It's just better recorded now.
I think that they're blaming the wrong person. So people went, especially criminology people, went pretty hard after John Walsh in the beginning, saying, look, you're making everybody afraid of strangers abducting their children, which, as we know statistically, doesn't happen very often. Mm-hmm. It's usually someone the family knows that abuses their children. So this whole idea of stranger danger and predator panic, they blamed John Walsh for creating this false panic. But I argue against that absolutely, unequivocally. The reason that we choose to be afraid of strangers is because we can't face the truth, which is that it usually is somebody we know. So people were panicked over strangers because they didn't want to be panicked about what they really should have been panicked about. It certainly wasn't John Walsh's fault. Mm-hmm. That was, our fault as fallible people that don't want to believe that it's someone close to us.
Yeah, that could be your buddy down there. Yeah, it could be a friend, a relative, or what have you.
Yeah, a relative.
Yeah,
Yeah. And then you don't want to think about it. And if it's a stranger, you can kind of blame the parents. And I know some people probably did in the beginning blame John and his wife for maybe not keeping a close enough eye on their kid. But show me a parent that's 100% perfect 100% of the time. They don't exist.
That's me. So hey, you just described me. Hey, wait a minute.
What?
Yeah. Wow. Who knew it?
I had no idea.
I know. Not until you just brought it up did I know. But on a serious note, you guys can, that are watching us on Facebook Live, there's a chat room that comes with Facebook Live. And you feel free to put your questions right in the chat room. I'll read them, and I will ask them as well. So, or you can give us a call at 218. Oh, 218. Almost gave my own cell phone number. Wouldn't that have been funny, right? 612-326-6874. 612-326-6874. You can also call us that way, too, on the call-in line. But that being said, America's Most Wanted was a great show. I watched a lot of it. But it was always amazing how they captured the people. It was really a great tool across the board, and now he's coming back. I was kind of surprised to see John to come back to TV. I really was.
What do you think about that, Eric, the idea of him coming back?
Well, I'm not exactly sure what the underlying motive is. I think it's a matter probably of, I'm guessing, Investigation Discovery really wanted to have him.
Cha-ching.
And, goodness, the biggest name ever, the most successful person. And something you were saying, Clarissa, just now rung a bell. The network and the methods that he used, in doing the show live, or at least having people there live to respond to live responses to the show, to audience response to the show, so giving the tips and all that. In a sense, that was an actual precursor to social media. They created a social media citizen journalist organization years and years and years before such a thing existed online. So that was very prescient as well. I'm wondering what your thoughts are about the legacy of that part of it as well. The fact that not only was this just usually TV, especially back then, especially 20 years ago, 30 years ago, TV was passive, right? You received it, you watched it. There was no real way to interact with it. It was sent to you. It was pushed out to you, to use online terminology or digital terminology. It was a push type thing. When John came along and set up the program the way he did, and especially his organizations, and then the fact that he had people literally taking calls live while the show was on each week, it really changed the way we not only do criminal justice and think about criminal justice and that system in the U.S., but it also changed the way we interact with media, and in particular TV. Any thoughts on that?
He was, not only was he, I don't know that he was prescient as much as that, as a father whose son was a victim, he had been burned. What John realized, because he's a very intelligent man, and what he realized is that when someone sees something, that they can't explain, or they have a chance to talk to somebody, right now is the moment to do it, because that's when it's fresh in their minds, because witnesses and people that might have seen something, they're not going to come forward 2 hours later, 3 hours later, or the next day when their own police station might be open to taking those calls. Back in the day, they needed a place that was open right then. So when somebody was sitting and watching their TV right that minute, that was the best time for them to call, because that's when it's the freshest in their minds. And he was burned by cops not taking statements from people right after his son went missing when they should have. And people forgot things that they didn't remember until later. So I think that he worked that into a system that became iconic to his show.
Yeah, I agree.
Amazing stuff. Hey, I just got an email. Speaking of real-time communication, apparently this breaking news is just incredible and is super hot and is super big. I'm not sure if we have a method of figuring that out and seeing what that is on our own, but I am literally hearing from the show itself via email saying that she has been called away and she has got to deal with this, and she may or may not even be back in this next half hour.
Sure.
So I know we're at the bottom of the hour. Did you want to go to a break?
Yeah, we're going to go to a break, and then when we come back, we might as well hit up True Crime Headlines and go from there until we hear more news. And then if there's something that breaks in the meantime, we'll bring her back on if she's able to do so. So we'll be right back. Good. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back right after this.
Ranger Station, Ranger speaking.
Yeah, hi. I'd like to report a bear sighting.
Location.
My backyard.
Oh, your backyard. Try telling a bear that.
I did, and this bear talked back.
Talking bear, that's rich.
No, wait, it was Smokey Bear.
Smokey? Why didn't you say so?
I did say so.
Continue.
I was burning yard waste.
No, boy.
He told me to burn legally and responsibly, and to remember that if it's too hot to touch, it's too hot to leave.
And as always, he's right. 9 out of 10 wildfires are caused by humans. That means 9 out of 10 wildfires can be prevented.
Yeah, I know that now.
Thanks to me.
Actually, thanks to Smokey.
As usual, the talking bear gets all the credit. Get your Smokey on. Always burn responsibly and contact your local fire department for open burning regulations. Because 9 out of 10 wildfires can be prevented. Brought to you by Smokey Bear, the U.S. Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council. Learn more at SmokeyBear.com. Only you can prevent wildfires.
Northern Tool and Equipment.
I got a rather serious problem over here.
All right, what are we looking at?
Cranky mother-in-law asleep on the couch in the man cave.
Dear God.
It gets worse.
That's impossible.
She's passed out on the remote.
I stand corrected.
What do I do?
Okay, I want you to grab a Torin Big Red hydraulic bottle jack.
Okay.
Now you wedge that bad boy in under your mother-in-law and crank her up skyward.
It's working. And got the remote.
Great. Now grab that Torin Big Red 2-ton folding shop crane and put that woman on wheels.
And away we go.
There's no problem a little horsepower can't solve. Northern Tool and Equipment.
welcome back to After Hours AM, the Criminal Code. I'm your host, Joel Sturgis, right along with me.
Eric L. Olsen, that was me, Olsen. And I was going to say and before I said Olsen. Apparently, we will any moment be able to shift Clarissa into actually audible mode. Audible mode.
Yes, I can be on Skype now if you want.
Oh my good Lord! Yes, we're doing it right now as we speak. Let's get this connected up. I can no longer handle the tin can call. It's driving me insane. Insane, I tell you.
Hello.
Hey, there we are. Much better. Look at that. Look at that. Here we go. Now it is time for everyone's, well, most people's favorite part of the show, and that is the dumb crimes, not so smart criminals section of the show, better known as headlines. True crime headlines brought to you by thecriminalcode.com. Criminalcode.com is your one-stop shop for all things. Well, I was going to say Amazemo, but really what it is Amazemo, but it's all things true crime. There, not only can you read all about serial killers, mass murders, all the debauchery that happens in true crime, but you would have the opportunity to also read the doctor's notes. And that doctor is our very own Dr. Clarissa Cole. She's a proprietor of that website. So you get to read those notes and get an insight to what makes these monsters, serial killers, and otherwise just bad people tick. So definitely check that out at thecriminalcode.com.
Thank you very much, Joel. Well, I've got some interesting headlines this week because this week we had no shortage of weird ones. This one is a college student. It starts off with a college student who thought she had a ghost in her home. Now, I know that sounds weird, okay, but like, you guys talk about paranormal stuff all the time.
We do. Every Thursday night you can listen to Paranormal Thursday.
Yeah. So, like, is that outside the realm of possibility for what you guys think could? Do you think that's weird for her to think that?
That she has a ghost in her house? No, I don't think that's weird at all.
Because,
that is not weird.
No,
here's
not
the
one
evidence.
bit.
The evidence was that items of her clothing were going missing. Just small things, or items of her clothing that she knew she put away somewhere that she couldn't find, and handprints in her bathroom walls.
Well, that's not good. It's time to call the Ghostbusters.
That's a bad sign.
That's always bad.
Right, but like, would you necessarily think it was something other than paranormal?
Well, I would. How often this happened? Quite a bit, like on a regular basis, or once or twice?
Well, enough that she noticed, but not so often that it was just a constant thing. It was just enough that she noticed. Like, wait a minute, where did I put that? Why is there a handprint? I'm guessing that the handprint might show up, like when it got steamy in there, you'd notice handprints.
Well, it's either she has a ghost or maybe a kid somehow got a key and made a copy, and it comes in every now and again. Am I warm at all?
Well, one day, right? She's home on Saturday, and she starts to hear a rattling in her closet, like a rattling sound. Yeah, and she's like, and it got so loud that it went beyond paranormal, where she's like, "Oh my God!" It sounded like there was a raccoon in my closet.
A coon? There's a coon in my closet.
And it freaked her out because
give me the 30-30. Yeah.
and she went to her closet and she said, "Who's there?" And someone answered.
What?
Now it's getting really weird. By the way, just backing up a moment before we go on, I do want to say, because I'm not sure we got this out there. Anytime you have a suspicion of paranormal activity, you really do. You owe it to yourself. You owe it to the world. You owe it to intellectual honesty to rule out natural causes. So I did want to add that. Go ahead now. Sorry.
No, I'm really glad you said
debunking
that.
She
didn't. Oh no, as one of my things pops up. No, she didn't do that first, really. You know, she just said, "Oh, it's weird," but didn't really look into it much after that. And so she goes to her closet, which is rattling, and says, "Who's there?" And someone answers, and he says, "Oh, my name is Drew."
So someone answers from behind in her closet when she said, "Hey, who's in there?" "It's just Drew. Yes. Don't mind me. I live in your wall. Don't worry."
And so she then looked on the other side of her closet door and realized that there was a man in there wearing my clothes, my socks, my shoes, and has a book bag full of more of my clothes.
Oh, this just keeps getting weirder.
So what'd she do? Did she say, Drew, you need to leave? Did she call the police? She offered him a Coke, or what'd she do?
She was, because he was, I think, so polite. She said, "Are you going to do anything to me?" And he said, "Oh, no." So she kind of engaged him in conversation while, and he did say, "You're really pretty. Can I give you a hug?" And she said no.
That's weird. Right there.
Yeah.
Beyond everything else, that's weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So far, we're checking off every weird
Every box has
there
been
is.
ticked there. A, he's in your house without your consent. B, he's living in your wall. Now he's hitting on you while he's standing in your closet holding your possessions.
Hey, baby.
Yeah. By the way,
Baby, I like the cut of your clothes.
Yeah, I like the way you're looking.
So while she's talking to him to sort of keep him calm, she texts her boyfriend, right? And can you even imagine what those texts might have been? Like, "Hey, honey, there's a guy in my closet wearing my heels. Can you call the cops for me?" So the cops eventually showed up, took him away, right? And his name was Drew Swafford, and they took him into custody. But it turns out, as if the story couldn't get weirder, it does. So it turns out that one other time, so these two girls live in this apartment that they rent, that one time they woke up to two different men standing in their living room talking.
What? No. Wait a minute. This has
They
happened
live
before.
at a train station.
I was going to
or
say,
what?
yeah. So this is not the first time she's had odd people living unbeknownst to her in her home.
Right, where they woke up and there were two. So basically, they had complained to their rent collector people that own the
Rent
apartment
collector people.
before.
You mean landlords?
Yeah. Yes, landlords. Sorry. They complained to the landlords before, and the landlords changed the locks after the incident with the two men just to make sure. And then this happened. So I'm like, I don't know how people are getting into this place, but it's happening on a regular basis.
All right. What would you do if you were in your house and this happened to you, Clarissa?
To be perfectly honest,
You'd shoot him.
No, I would have done exactly the same thing that she did. I would have done it no different at all. I would have, because since he was calm, I would have been calm. And if he was talkative, I would have been talkative. I would not have wanted to tip him off that anything dismayed me.
That's funny, though.
Well, obviously, he could be really dangerous.
Yeah, but then this Drew takes the moment to hit on her. That's
I know,
funny.
right?
I mean, totally disregards has been living in her closet, but says, "Hey, by the way, as long as I'm already in trouble, might as well see if I can get somewhere with this."
I don't know that I blame him. I mean, he already
Why
likes her
not?
fashion.
Yeah, you're already going in, so
Do we know how people have been passing through, like the walls are impermeable? Or permeable, I should say, not impermeable. Like
no,
like they're amoebas through cell walls or something? Do we know?
I have no idea. So cops are looking into it, but that's it.
That is really, really weird. Really weird. Yeah. If I were her, I'd move to a high-rise building next time, and be at the top floor.
I would not. I'd change my name, move to a cave. I don't know.
I'd do whatever it takes to get away from that. Man, that's nuts. Okay, where are we gonna go next?
Hi guys, it's Michelle Sigona. I'm back again.
Hey Michelle, how you doing? Welcome back to the show. What's the breaking news?
We weren't expecting you.
We have a bunch of things happening, and sometimes that happens at the hotline. Leads will come in before the show, or investigators are working on something or moving on something. So there's a lot of activity going on. So I apologize for that. Sometimes I break away and then try to jump back in, and then our show is getting ready to begin at 10 o'clock.
Oh, wow.
So all the operators are getting ready, and
You know what we thought? We
What's
thought
that?
you staged the whole thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we were kind of thinking that too. We're like, maybe she staged
No,
that.
I didn't. No, it definitely was not staged for sure.
I was like, Eric, you chased another one off. Great.
Yeah, no, I'm back. I am back. I apologize again. I'm so sorry about that.
Good.
No problem.
Good.
Hey,
Not a
you
problem
know what
at all.
I would love to hear in whatever your limited time, which because I know you do have to go by 10, right? is we'd love to hear your take on the new show. What is happening with the show? What exactly do you do on the show? You know, get people all revved up to watch it in 16 minutes. And then we know you do have to take off. But we really do appreciate your coming back. And, of course, if you can tell us anything about anything that just happened, that'd be wonderful. But if you can't, then we'd love to hear your take on the show, what you're doing on it. Get people pumped.
Well, here's what I can tell you. The mission is exactly the same. The goal is to find these fugitives, to recover these missing children, to bring them home. And how the show has changed over the years, what I will tell you is that we have social media at our fingertips. So back in the Fox days, you know, social media was there sort of towards the end, but people weren't really utilizing it like they do right now. Mm-hmm. And so we had this whole other avenue to receive tips. Back when the internet first started and amw.com launched, I was a part of the team that had one of the first online captures for the old amw.com website. And we thought that was great. And it is great. But now we've just come leaps and bounds with social media, with Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and Snapchat and all these different resources. So that's how the show has evolved and changed. What, you know, some of the cases, it's just when you think you haven't heard the worst, you hear the worst again. I mean, it is, some of them are heartbreaking. I mean, from children watching their parents getting murdered.
Oh man,
to,
yeah.
I mean, it's
horrible.
Those are the absolute worst, when something happens to these children, or these children have to witness something or lose their parents. And sometimes in these situations, they're not just losing one parent, but they're losing the other one too, if, you know, their mom or dad is involved. So those are the heartbreakers, and the ones that really pull at your heartstrings and make you want to do something. And some of the other harder cases are the ones that have been around for a long time. I mean, you know, Thames Smyka, for instance, that's a case we had aired, I think it was the second show a couple weeks ago. And the victim in that case, he was dating Robert Redford's daughter when he was murdered. I mean, and this case has been open for decades. So some of the cases are newer. Some of them are a little bit older, but everybody needs justice.
Yeah, because justice delayed is justice denied, and we don't want it delayed any longer than it has to be.
We do not, absolutely not. So I take a lot of pride in this. If you're reaching out to us over social media, the In Pursuit with John Walsh Facebook page, or the Discovery ID Twitter account, and you're hashtagging Team In Pursuit, I'm doing everything I can to get back to you. I'm letting everyone know that it might take especially tonight, when we're really busy and I'm answering everyone, it takes me sometimes a little while, but I'm still up with you guys on the West Coast airing. And, you know, I think it's so important to make sure that people know that we hear them. And although maybe we can't get their case on the air right away, what I have been able to do is work with our digital team to get some videos put up on the Discovery ID Facebook page, which has 3.1 million followers. So, you know, we're able to do different things. Even if we can't get the case on the air, you know, sometimes there are other options.
Yeah, there's a lot of different options. And I didn't mean to step all over you, Eric, but I was going to ask her really quick, has smartphones and camera phones changed the game at all? Made it easier to capture them and see them and put them in locations?
Absolutely. And people are taking pictures of other people. They are taking pictures of clues. They are sending those in. They are, you know, they're doing all of these things. And it's to be able to have that information at their fingertips, investigators' fingertips, we're able to rule in these tips a lot more quickly. We're able to rule them in or out, you know, as things are happening, and be able to say, that's one we need to move a little bit, you know, faster on. Or investigators here will put a task force in place in another city. And that just happened on a lead not too long ago. And it didn't pan out, but that's okay, because they're taking that information and moving it down the field. And that's what needs to be done.
Quick movement and quick identification, all the better.
Yes. I mean, and really listening to these people. Sometimes people call in, they don't want to be identified. They don't have to be. They can remain anonymous. And they're scared. Sometimes they don't call on show nights. I remember many times where they've waited, you know, till the middle of the week. They've thought about it. Maybe there was an emotional connection to the story that weighed on them, and they finally made the decision to make the right move.
Sure.
I mean, we've had people call in. I'll never forget this case. We showed like a little recreation of a guy. I don't remember his name off the top of my head, but he had an obsessive compulsive disorder. And every night he would come home and reorganize his sock drawer and reorganize his jewelry over and over and over again. And we just recreated that moment. And the person inside the house was like, calls in, is like, that's my roommate.
Oh, man. So, he's tapping his foot 3 times. He's rearranged his socks 12 times.
That's one of the ones where you're like, okay, we need to get out there immediately. And sometimes it happens quickly and sometimes it doesn't. I mean, I've had other captures where the tip has come in, we've worked it all night, and, you know, the capture happens at 7 a.m. the next morning, or the capture happens 2 years later. You know, I've tracked some of these guys. A tip would come in and I'd get to their location in Kentucky or Louisiana or wherever, and they're gone. And it's like I have pictures of this one guy being baptized at a church with his girlfriend. I mean, it's crazy. The stories, I could go on for days.
That is crazy. Eric, before I interrupted you had a question, man.
Oh yeah, I'm just, you guys are getting at all the important things. I was going to see if with Michelle back, if she had any thoughts on the evolution of the legacy of John Walsh through all the years. You've already talked about the difference being, you know, the access to social media and the way people are using it. We were saying you guys were really pioneers, you know, pre-social media, in that you created, in essence, your own social network when that show was on, and you guys are taking those live calls and getting those tips and everything. We did have another question actually that came up off air. Why do you think John decided to come back after such a successful career, 25 years, and what brought him back for yet another round?
Yet another round. You know, I think it is inside of him to help others. It is when John is in a room, or if you've ever heard him speak, or if you've ever had the chance to be around him, everything stops. All focus is on him. He has this presence. He has this passion. He has this drive. And it is all to help other people. Mm-hmm. So I feel like, and I don't want to speak for him, but when ID came to him with this idea, and also to bring his son Callahan on as well, I think it was just another opportunity to help families, and he couldn't let it go. I mean, this is a guy who has done such tremendous work. He is, you know, with his horses and his grandkids and his family and doing such wonderful things, but he will carve out this time to help other people. It's just what he does. It really honestly is.
Man, what an incredible guy. What an incredible legacy he's left behind, or will be leaving behind.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I think it's got to become somewhat addictive in its own way, though. I mean, once you start to make such a difference in people's lives, I think it would be kind of difficult to walk away completely and not be able to do that anymore. I think that would be difficult.
Absolutely. And I tell you, it's when you get a capture, or when you're capturing someone, not just in the United States, but I mean, dozens of other countries, John has caught people. And I say John, of course, there's investigators and there's staff, and you know what I mean? But this is really, he has spearheaded this. This is his show. It's his mission. And when that happens and you get to call the family, or you get to be there with them to tell them that justice will be served, you are exactly right. There is something that attracts you to that and makes you want to do it again and again and again.
Mm-hmm. And being able to bring some sort of closure. I mean, I work on the other side of it where I'm working with the perpetrators day in and day out. But it's kind of that same idea when they finally maybe confess to all parts of it, and they finally have owned that, and you know that people are going to get some closure for that. You don't want to stop doing that if you're good at doing that. And John Walsh is certainly an expert at bringing closure to victims. And, you know, like I'm an expert at making criminals cry, apparently, but it helps bring people, it does bring people together. And I mean, I've seen that's what I was going to ask. Have you ever had sort of a situation where somebody was captured after a lot of years and they had to sort of face off with the victim's family? Maybe was there any forgiveness, or what does that look like?
I have seen I have seen it all over the last 20 years, to be honest. I have seen this rip families apart. I have seen it bring them closer together. I have seen them forgive. I have seen them hate. I have seen, there is every type of emotion, I feel like, unfortunately, and fortunately, because when justice is being brought forward, there is peace that comes with that. But I have seen so much so many different emotions over the years with so many different families. And some of them are forgiving. Yes, they are. And some of them just can't forgive. And some of them can't let it go. And some of the cases, even if you have one person or one man or woman or suspect, maybe there's still another portion to it that's wide open that still needs to be solved. So every case is unique and every case is different.
So true. And that's the bad part, though, is it's never going to end. You know, all we can do is get better at catching them.
Yes, you're right.
And bringing justice, because it's no sign of ending. That's the bad part.
No,
I have a thought. Just that we're running out of time. Michelle, if you do have to go in 5 minutes, and we certainly understand. I am dealing. We can talk about that more the next hour. My mother's in the ICU and is not expected to pull through. So we've been really thinking. We've been at the hospital, obviously, a lot. And we've been thinking, I always end up overanalyzing everything. And we're just thinking, I've been gone through a lot of medical stuff with her and my dad before that. So I've spent a lot of time around medical people. And I'm just observing the way they have to compartmentalize themselves and find that kind of sweet spot between too much empathy and, of course, not enough empathy. And of course they're human and we want them to care, but they can't get too invested because of what they do. That's their job, is dealing with people who are failing. I'm wondering, does that enter into yours or John's equation? I've talked to Clarissa about this too. How do you handle that? Does it ever get you down? Is it ever too much? Do you have to compartmentalize? Do you ever get jaded?
I will say this, that I think that's an incredibly, first of all, I'm so sorry to hear about your mom. It's terrible, and my thoughts are with you. I will say you do have to put it in a different pocket, and it has gotten more difficult for me after I had my child 3.5 years ago. I've always been sympathetic and empathetic to victims and survivors and their families, and working with them and wanting to help them. But it has made me even more sympathetic and more connected after having my daughter, to be honest, and just seeing life and creating life and having someone like that ripped away. I don't know how these families cope. I mean, they have each other and a lot of them lean on prayer, but it is really tough. And I'm also a volunteer firefighter, and I have been for more than 20 years. So sometimes in the field, when I'm coming across these people, I always, no matter what's going on, if there's someone standing to the side or something's happening, I try to connect with them and let them know that we're there and we care about them. So there's a lot of different, I think, and I do bring it home. I do, for sure. And sometimes you have to, I talk about it, and, you have to. It's just the way to deal with it.
There. Yeah, absolutely. Tell us one more time the show and where they can watch it and what time.
Yes. Thank you guys for everything. Tonight on Investigation Discovery, ID 10 p.m. in person. You'll not only see John, but you'll see his awesome son, Callahan. Yeah. We have 2 great cases airing tonight.
Exactly. In Pursuit with John Walsh tonight, 10 p.m. Eastern. So check that out. ID Discovery. Also check your local listings for your time.
Yes.
So make sure you catch it.
And I'm here at the hotline. So tweet us and jump on Facebook. I'll respond to you. We're here.
Yeah, exactly. We got to go to break, and when we come back, we're gonna do up your true crime headlines. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back right after this.
Hi, Tom Bodette. If you can hear me, then you have an internet connection, which means you can do cool things online, like listen to streaming radio, obviously, or watch a video of a monkey washing a cat. Let your freak flag fly. Or you can book a room at a great price at Motel6.com. Isn't the internet wonderful? Everything you want right at your fingertips, and whoa, did not need to see that. I'm Tom Bodette for Motel 6, and we'll leave the light on for you.
Unexpected reactions to smart financial decisions brought to you by feedthepig.org.
Well, I finally did it. My student loan is totally paid off. I can't believe it. I can't believe it either. I paid more than the minimum each month, and soon enough, it was gone.
So you're just giving up?
Giving up on what?
The life of luxury. Egyptian cotton, caviar Thursdays, designer everything.
What are you talking about?
Our plan. What happened to winning the lottery and mastering the art of the perfect mimosa? Hosting galas, wearing enough jewelry to require a bodyguard, vacationing in the French Riviera, and then buying it.
I just thought maybe it was time to prepare for my future. You know, set some financial goals, make some smart investments, open a 401k.
Financial goals? Investments? A 401k? You are horrifying right now. Listen, if winning the lottery were easy, everyone would do it.
When it comes to financial stability, don't get left behind. Get tools and tips for saving at feedthepig.org. This message brought to you by the American Institute of CPAs and the Ad Council.
Northern Tool and Equipment.
So me and the boys head out to tailgate today and find some other fans in our spot.
Well, it happens.
Cheering for the wrong team.
Oh, this is war.
Even worse, they've got this couch set up and everything.
A couch?
Yeah, it's sectional.
All right, first thing, don't ever use the word sectional again.
Done.
Second, I want you to grab a 4,700-pound tow chain with J-hook and grab hammer. Throw that on the back of your truck.
Got it.
Now you're going to Hail Mary the J-hook over the end of that couch. Time to find a better spot for your new friends.
That should do it.
There's no problem a little horsepower can't solve. Northern Tool and Equipment.
Taking a family of 5 to the amusement park can cost a small fortune.
Oh, yeah. So to save some money, we thought, hey, let's bring the amusement park to us.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
All right. Step right up, young man. Are you ready to ride the wacky waterfall?
That's just the bathtub with the shower head running.
Nope, it's the wacky waterfall.
It's the shower, Dad.
Waterfall.
Wacky.
There's an easier way to save. To get a free rate quote, go to geico.com. Then buy online, over the phone, or at your local Geico office.
Green light. Hey, girl. School zone. I'm getting hungry. Car changing lanes. You want to meet me for pizza? Stop sign. Intersection clear. Yeah, street. Pizza sounds good. Ballin Street? Girlin Street!
It's hard to concentrate on 2 things at once, like texting and driving. Stop the text, stop the wrecks. How will you stop texting and driving? Tell us at stoptextstopwrecks.org. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
And welcome back to After Hours AM, the Criminal Code, everybody. I'm your host, Joel Sturgis. Right along with me,
Eric Olsen and
Dr. Clarissa Cole.
Now, we covered one story about the strange man living in walls, so now we are going to continue to cover our true crime headlines with Dr. Clarissa Cole. Again, these are brought to you by Dr. Cole's website, thecriminalcode.com, your one-stop shop for all things true crime and wonderful. And yeah, even once in a while, amazemo. Actually, more than once in a while, all the time amazemo. And after you've visited there, I need you to go over to America's-Most-Haunted.com. That's really the best, coolest, awesomest paranormal / true crime website ever created or devised by man. That is the one that is amazing. There you can
That's
read.
one of my favorite sentences ever.
Right there you can read Eric's articles. So every show has an article with it. So not only can you listen to the show live, but you also can read the article that is attached with it. So done. Whew, that was a lot. Okay.
That was sensational.
It was. It's like I've done it before or something.
All right. So if we are getting back to headlines, there is one that this story, it just keeps getting better and better. There's a New York City man. This happened a day ago or so, and he was seen shattering a store window and stealing a Barack Obama mannequin.
Wow.
Why?
Right?
For good or for ill?
Yeah.
Well,
which one?
Yeah. So apparently, he was very upset. He was definitely a Trump supporter. He was very angry with Obama's policies, and he kept on repeating it after he was caught that he hated Obama and Obama ruined the country. He also ripped his arm off. He said the doll was giving me bad looks. I'm tired of him. Obama brought the country down. So he.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. Go ahead.
That doll's giving me shifty looks, so you decided to...
Yes.
It's a doll, man. Relax. Get a hold of yourself.
But that isn't really why I was questioning the story. The reason I was questioning the story is that this mannequin of Barack Obama, which, by the way, I didn't even know they made those.
That's a little disturbing.
It was in a window, a store window of a place in Harlem called Romantic Depot.
So he was in a porn shop? They had a Barack Obama mannequin in a porn shop?
They call it a lingerie store. It's lingerie and
more.
more.
Oh, come on now.
Yeah.
It's the more part that gets you in trouble. Everybody
It's
goes
the
into the
lingerie and
lingerie,
more.
but they end up shopping for more.
Yep. So my question is not really why did the guy break in and take this mannequin? Why the heck was there a mannequin of Barack Obama in Harlem's Romantic Depot?
You know, there's a lot of people that think that Barack Obama is a sexy beast. I'm telling you.
I don't doubt
he had a
it,
following amongst the ladies, man. He did. Especially when he sang that, when he'd sing once in a while.
You're right.
He was
you're right.
crooning. I mean, the guy was just a crooner. I mean, he could really sing.
Well, he had so much personality, and he was kind of just this, and it's not like he's in the past, but he's no longer president. He really has an awful lot of charisma, and, I don't know about the looks. I'm probably not that great a judge. I don't think he's, considered not good looking, but the bottom line is that charisma. It's a combination of intelligence,
Captain
a
Charisma.
sense of humor. I know he takes his job and his role very seriously, but I think he always reserved the ability to laugh at himself, unlike other people who will go nameless. He always, he was secure enough in his own skin. And I mean, just think of what he accomplished. So, no pun intended, his own skin. So I think, yes, I've heard it from many people, all different ages, many women, all different ages, all ethnicities, who really think that he is extremely appealing and, sexy guy, not in some overt stripper way, but in all the right ways.
Now, welcome to the stage, Barack Obama. I mean, not that kind of stripper.
Hey, everyone needs a second career,
So
apparently he had one there. Yeah.
So he steals the mannequin, and what did he do with it next? Put it from a train or something?
No, he just kind of started destroying it, I guess. Yeah, he grabbed one of the mannequin's arms before throwing it to the ground, the arm, I guess. And then he wanted to, kick him, and he was trying to destroy the Barack Obama mannequin, but they called it in pretty quickly, and they came to pick him up. But I'm not even sure. I don't know. There were just so many questions.
That's
I can't comprehend the story, really.
That guy's mentally ill. That guy's got to be mentally ill, then.
I'm sure.
There's
think
something
so.
going on. Yeah. No normal, sane person's going to stop, probably walking along my own business and just stop and look and go, that's Barack Obama. I must destroy. Just saying.
Well, and that the mannequin was looking at him. Yeah,
there's a lot of circumstances there. There's some issues there with that guy. All right.
Well, there's another one. There's another, not a mannequin stealer. This guy, he was, and it is actually kind of a sad story, but I guess in the Great Smoky Mountain National Park, there was a man who passed away. He died of a meth overdose before being eaten by a bear.
Okay, at least he died before being eaten by the bear, I guess. It's what? Okay, so let me wrap my.
It's not funny. It's just too weird.
Let me wrap my mind. So there's a guy in the mountains doing meth.
Yes.
And he overdoses on said meth.
Yes.
So I'm going to assume the bear, after his death, hopefully quite a while after his death, comes across the dead man and decides, hey, I'm going to eat this dead man. Did the bear get high on meth at that point?
There again, more questions than answers. Well, no, what happened was, so unfortunately, because the park rangers came across a bear eating the corpse of a human, they did put the bear down for the safety of others, right?
And just for the overall disgustingness of it all.
Yeah, so they come across, they see Yogi eating a person, see his, see him hanging off his mouth.
Gnawing away.
Yeah, just gnawing away. It says, hey, do you want some of this? And they showed up. And so they ended up putting the bear down.
But that was before they knew that the bear was eating the guy after he died of the meth.
Yeah,
and at that point, I'm thinking, was he not fair game? Come on. The bear didn't kill him.
Fair game. Oh, my God.
The bear didn't kill him. Is all I'm saying.
It was literally game, wasn't it? It was more like roadkill, actually.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, that's just wrong. That's just wrong, Clarissa. That's just wrong.
It is. Well, and on top of it, apparently this guy who was extraordinarily high on meth had gone to the park to illegally remove ginseng to sell it.
So
you just one good decision after another.
Wow, this guy is truly a mental giant. Ginseng, now, have you guys ever seen that show on Discovery, I think it is, or they're searching for ginseng? Evidently, there's a big market for it.
Huge market for ginseng.
I take it.
Yeah, it's extremely valuable.
Take it every day.
Not as much in the States. They often sell it to overseas clientele.
Yeah, normally it's a bunch of good old boys with their Ford F-150 going out there going, we're going to find us some ginseng. Watch us dig it up.
Very, very valuable. And that's what this guy was attempting to do, but instead he overdosed and got eaten by a bear. So
he stopped for a meth break. Who doesn't do that, when you're ginseng hunting? I'm going to sit back and go ahead and spark up here. And then he dies from a meth overdose. The bear comes along, eats him. It sounds like a bad joke. Like one of those really bad, almost...
I'm going to do something illicit in the woods where there are bears.
Yes, that's a great idea.
I think I need to be on meth.
to hang with the bears.
Yeah,
yes.
yeah. So they shoot the poor bear.
Yes.
I felt bad for the bear. He did nothing wrong. He was
that's what I'm saying. The bear,
yeah.
The bear came across the guy and was like, can't believe my luck. And then this happens.
Is that how bears talk?
I thought it was more like this. Hey, boo-boo, we're after that meth guy. That's how I thought they were.
Better than a picnic basket?
That's not a picnic basket. That's a meth pipe. Come on, boo-boo. Have you ever freebased?
Where was this exactly?
Rocky Mountain or Smoky Mountain National Park.
Okay. Moving along, because there's one just below it I really want to get to.
Well, there's several. Is this the Pennsylvania, the one where he tries to break his... Yes. So there is a man. Let's see. He's agitated Pennsylvania man. Now imagine you live off the beaten path.
Yes.
And all of a sudden, someone comes up to your door and your windows and starts knocking on them, banging on them, saying, the zombies are coming and snakes are biting my ankles.
Oh, my God.
What?
That is a perfect storm of yuckitude.
What a combination.
Yeah, so what do you do if you see panicked man banging on your window saying, the zombies are coming and the snakes are biting my ankles, please let me in?
You call 911.
Yeah, that's what I'd be doing. I'd call 911. Letting the police deal with it.
And let's see, the individuals. So apparently they did call 911.
Okay.
And then as he began climbing through a broken window, the individuals inside the home armed themselves with a claw hammer and a frying pan.
No, they're gonna. Well, you know what? Never mind. I take that back. I would too, because this guy's probably on something, and if he's running from zombies and snakes, who knows what he's willing to do to get in the house?
Well, he broke a window to get in. He started crawling in the window. Yep.
Right there. Yep.
But luckily for basically everyone involved, he did hear the police siren, and he went to the home's rear door and began trying to kick it in for some reason. So basically, they police did take him down, and they said no zombies or snakes were spotted by law enforcement officers, who concluded that he was under the influence of a controlled substance.
Now, if he would have been a smart guy, a smart criminal, he would have stopped and said, "Thank God the police are here. They can save us from the snakes and the zombies."
Right?
Yeah.
You think he'd be glad?
You would think so. You would think he'd be. See, he knew that there was no zombies or snakes. He knew he just wanted to get in the house. He was after that frying pan.
It's possible, but I can't even imagine, like, say you're just at home watching a movie on Roku or something, and all of a sudden somebody runs up to your window, starts banging on it, talking about
Let
zombies.
me in! The zombies are here! Yeah, no, that would not end well for them.
No, it would be pretty terrifying. And he looks fairly young in this photo. They have a photo of him. Yeah, I don't know what he was on, but I hope he's sober now. And
what would you do if someone came knock at your door, Eric, saying that there's zombies and snakes after them?
911. Because you want to get whatever assistance may be needed. I mean, you want to help them, but you don't know what someone that unhinged is going to do. I wouldn't want to try to. I wouldn't tackle helping them by myself. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, that and he looks like a normal guy. I mean, there's a picture, like you said, a selfie in a bathroom. Why are they always in bathrooms? Why are selfies?
Like 60% or more of them are taken in bathrooms.
Well, what the hell's up with that? Why is every selfie almost in a bathroom?
I don't know. I have no idea.
I don't want to see you in a bathroom.
We're in a bathroom mirror. Like, turn the phone around. That's what the selfie camera's for.
Exactly.
Taking it in a bathroom mirror. Yeah, I feel the same way. It drives me insane, but that's sort of all the rage. But guess what? There's another man here that oh, God. I don't know if you guys can post this to Facebook, or maybe I can post it to Facebook.
I can post anything to Facebook. What would you like? That
my
posted?
God.
Let's take care of that now.
It is the best mugshot, potentially, that I have ever seen.
Well, let's ask the crowd in the old Facebook Live whether or not that's the best mugshot that they've ever seen.
Right.
So,
you know which one I'm talking about?
I do.
Yeah, you mean the mannequin?
Yes, look at him. My goodness. Like,
that is one manscaped individual.
Dude, he wears makeup like a boss.
That is
serious.
He looks like a mannequin. Remember the movie Mannequin? He looks like what's her face before she was before she came alive.
So this guy, he does not look real.
No, he doesn't.
Because he's not, right? Or is he? Is he real?
No, he's real.
He's real?
He's a real human. He's a real human. No, I can see where he used highlighter, and like I can see how he applied his makeup. And let me say, like I said, if he doesn't have like a job now, he's got a job doing makeup. I'm telling you, it's amazing.
Yeah, because he looks just like a man. He looks like Ken. He looks like Ken that's gone on a bender.
Yeah, Ken who started doing drugs and didn't know what to do.
Yeah, before he got ate by the bear.
The bear, I know. This is Ken before he goes into the really bad downward spiral.
This is Ken on drugs. Any questions?
So true. Like he's got like perfect bone structure, this guy. Looks like a Ken doll. But the reason, in case you are just listening and cannot see this, the reason that it's so striking is that he's got bleach blonde hair, black eyebrows, thick
like
black
jet
eyebrows.
Black. Almost as nice as the doorbell licker. Almost as nice. Not quite.
Almost. Beautiful eyebrows. And a red beard. Red. He is all sorts of confused. And he's definitely got a bunch of like smoky dark liner around his eyes. Like his eyes are gorgeous.
Smoky dark.
What would you do if you met this guy on the street, Clarissa, as a woman?
Ken, is that you?
Ken, is that you? Ken?
No, I would actually, I know how I can be. I would probably say your like highlighter is amazing. Like
You're
I probably just think
beautiful.
that.
You're a beautiful
Yeah, I'd be
man.
like, oh my God, look at you. Yeah.
Yeah,
Look
no,
at your makeup.
he looks.
I don't know
he's
if
a
you'd want me to
freak.
call it makeup, but
He kind of looks like a freak to me. That's just me, though.
well,
You know,
I'm not saying
I'm
it's
just-
normal.
I'm
I
just
just mean
you know, mainly because I'm angry because I'm not that good looking. So normally I'm just really mad.
he's
about
that good looking. No, really, people, he doesn't look real. Although, would I want to go to prison with that face?
No,
Probably not.
Oh no, they'd pass you around like a Snickers bar in there.
Yeah,
Come on.
he's
yeah.
pretty
No.
beautiful. So
No.
he's only 20 years old. He was arrested in Nashville. He was trying to use a stolen credit card, and when he was asked for further ID, he brought out a Tennessee driver's license, but all of his everything, the credit cards, the license, everything that he had was not his. It was all stolen. So he was charged with identity theft and being held on a $25,000 bond. He's due in court on Monday. Let's see when this story was. So Monday. Oh man, you guys just missed it. It happened on Sunday. So he was due in court Monday the 4th. I was going to say you could go visit, be a fan.
Go visit, be a fan. What?
Good looking kid. Hopefully he maybe has learned his lesson. And by the way, if you're going to steal somebody's identity, don't have blonde hair, black eyebrows, and a red beard.
No, that will not work out. And he probably stole, like a woman's identity on top of it.
Oh,
you don't look like a Sandy to me.
He is the very definition of multi-hued.
Mm-hmm. And yet somehow he carries it off. That's the crazy part.
That is interesting.
Because he's
look.
that good looking.
Yeah, that is an interesting look that he's got for himself. That is awfully strange, let me tell you.
I had to share that one because it was just too funny. Let's see. I wanted to talk about actually a little bit more seriously because this one it doesn't kind of freak me out. It actually really freaks me out. It's the story about the Illinois family. Do you guys know about? I'm not familiar with it. The Nest system.
Yeah, the ones that are always getting hacked lately.
What is that? What is it supposed to be used for? I don't know it at all.
Well, it's basically just a security system, is what it is. It's just cameras that go over there.
Supposed to be in your house or outside?
They can do both. I mean, they got rigs for both. I think generally they run off of Wi-Fi. They're like Wi-Fi cameras, so you can hook up to your home's internet and be able to see what's going on in your house while you're gone, and it'll record everything like to the cloud. And they're actually pretty nice. I would not mind having a Nest or 2 or 10.
They're supposed to be in your house then, like inside.
They can be, yeah.
I guess.
They can be in and out because they also make the doorbells that are also the one that the man licked was a Nest doorbell. So
yeah, no. What am I missing, Eric? What am I missing?
You're
why
missing
would I
a
want
whole
cameras
lot.
inside my house?
You're missing.
Why would I want something inside my house?
Why would you
Like
want a camera in your
inside?
house? I don't know.
Like inside?
I don't know.
Well, I can assure you I would not. But there are people who do, like my daughter, her husband. It's my oldest daughter. Her husband is a manager of an Apple store. So, oh my, is he gadget oriented? Oh my, is he gadget oriented? And my daughter kind of plays along with it. And they have their 20-month-old knows how to tell the lights how to change color. Think about that. He'll blue. Lights turn blue. It's so hilarious.
Yeah.
And he waves his hand. I would not want it inside the house because I just don't want that kind of invasion of privacy. Plus, remember, these things can be hacked.
They can be real easily.
If you have an infant, perhaps if you have a large house and maybe an infant and you don't sleep near the infant, I mean, maybe you'd want to watch. But I mean, I would think hearing is as good or better. I wouldn't want it, but again, that's where we are these days. People are linking up to everything. They want to see everything. They want to hear everything. And a lot of people want to share everything. And my goodness, I say reserve a little bit of your life for private means. I'm starting to feel somewhat overwhelmed by the amount of oversharing on social media. And it's not just younger people. I see it all the time. People in my age range on Facebook in particular. I mean, they're telling every intimate detail of their lives and asking for support on it all the time. It makes me a little, I'm not opposed to any specific iteration of it. It just seems so overwhelming and I don't know, needy. I mean, I let people know about my mother. I mean, I had to, that part of what Facebook is for is to share with family and friends, obviously. And so, I thought it was important to just let them know what the status is and that's what's, that she's in the ICU, blah, blah, blah. But I didn't feel right spending a lot of time, for example, asking for support. I figure if people see that and if they care, they will absolutely offer their support. And I am so happy to have it. And it is helpful. But I don't know. I'm oversharing myself tonight. I think because of my emotionalism. But I'm very concerned that we're just starting to bleed inside each other's wounds.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I guess that's why this story was odd to me, because I truly didn't. I'm not being cute. I didn't understand like that they were inside the house. It didn't make sense to me why someone would put cameras inside their home. Like a business is different, if you have maybe a lot of product there and it's a business and it's not overly personal. I thought to myself, my gosh, why would you have a camera, like a camera that connects to a cloud, by the way, in all these different areas of your home? And so that, I guess, like Joel, what you were saying, so I guess at this Illinois home, they got hacked, this Nest system.
Yeah, they hacked them like crazy. It's all over the news.
Yeah. They got hacked, and so they started like I guess you can talk through them too. I mean, I have cameras. I have cameras too that are outside my house. By the way, if anybody wants to hack into my cameras and watch like outside my house, feel free.
Yeah.
That's what I have out there. But a person started talking to them and adjusted their thermostat up to 90 degrees.
See, now that's just kind of fun, though. Really, I mean, it's wrong to do. It's horrible, but that's kind of funny. Come on, someone that's willing to have that in their house and know the dangers of these things being hacked, and then it happens. It's not like they're draining their bank account. They're messing with thermostat. It's a cheap lesson learned.
Well, sort of, except they were, because you can talk through these cameras. And I can too. I can talk through mine too. They were insulting them.
Hey, lose some weight. God, you're ugly.
Yeah, right.
You're really going to wear that?
Yeah, I know, right? Got just what I need, right? Get ready in the morning. Like, I don't think those jeans fit you very well anymore, Clarissa. You need to get rid of it. Like, just what you need.
Wow. So it heckled them as it walked by.
Yes, they were getting heckled. Their thermostat was being adjusted. And on top of that, I think they have, a 7-month-old child.
Wow.
And so, you're exposing, and that's the thing, I guess, that gets me more than anything, maybe with this whole story, is the deeper thing, like Eric, what you were talking about. When it's a child, you're potentially exposing that child to somebody that can hack into your system. Now, if you're an adult and you want to be stupid, go ahead.
Yeah.
But exposing a child to online predators that look for things just like that.
Yeah.
What are you thinking? It's not keeping you safer. I promise you that.
It's not. I think what it is just to be more techie, more gadgetry, just to have it in a lot of ways. It'd be like living with the peanut gallery from the Muppets.
No, like, and you don't, and since they're being heckled by this person, it sort of brings up the question: how long have they been watching?
Well,
and how many are watching?
Yeah, that is right there. You're right on that one. How long have they been silently watching, trying to figure out your patterns throughout the day? And what's to stop them from saying, "Hey, kid, come here," and start talking to the kid? Hey, go unlock the door for me.
Exactly. No, exactly right.
Stuff like that.
And making friends with the kid who doesn't understand the technology or how it's supposed to work. I mean, it's such a dangerous thing. Like, having cameras outside your house is one thing. Like I said, I do myself. But inside, I just cannot figure out why you would do it. I can't. Even if you have a kid, you know what? How about not turning up your TV show and actually listening? How about that?
True.
I mean,
good point.
Good
point.
I don't have children. I was a nanny for a good number of years. And I had a child who I started watching her at 3 months old. I could hear that kid breathe differently, from another room. And I would just read a book when she was down.
I think in the name of security, it's maybe gone a little too far the other way. People are just too canvassing their lives to cameras. The personal lives, not outside when you go on the street and stuff, because there is no expectation of privacy when you're in public. That there's just none of that there. But when you're in your own home, because now you're not only that, but they're hacking and they're seeing what you own. They're seeing everything about your life. So you're opening yourself up to, at the very least, robbery. And the very most, they could kidnap your child, maybe.
Oh, absolutely. And they could, you like you were saying, knowing your patterns. They know when you're home, when you're not. If you have a camera that's near a computer, they can look at passwords that you're entering into the computer. It's just to give anyone that kind of access to your personal life.
Yeah, it's kind of funny.
Crazy.
I'm monitoring the chat room over here on Facebook Live, and it runs the gamut from people that have lots of cameras in their house to none. So it's really a personal choice.
Part of
it is the person with that. That's fine.
Yeah.
I of course. And like I said, my own son-in-law and daughter, to a lesser extent, are gadgeted up, and they love it and they know how to use it. Part of it is you got to get comfortable with it. You have to. But my concern is we always have to think about, or try to think about anyway, the ramifications of new technology, because I truly, truly believe that with technology, broadly speaking, and I'm not saying this happens all the time because certainly it doesn't, but the potential is always there. One of my favorite song lyrics is, and it's referring to technology, it begins with a blessing, but ends with a curse, making life easier, but making life worse. Sure. And I'm always concerned about that.
I thought you were going to say paranoia will destroy you.
Well, that too. No, this is Kevin Ayers' song, one of my favorite relatively obscure British singer-songwriters extraordinaire. And so technology it's a tool, but we not only use it uses us, and it changes us, and it's not necessarily always for the good. And we at least have to be mindful of it and try to at least pay attention to what technology is doing. How long is it going to be before we really, really, truly comprehend what the internet and constant access, the digital revolution has done to us? How long is that going to take? And I'm pretty positive it's not all for the good.
Oh gosh, I mean, and that's very clear. When you think about it just honestly, just like some of the stories that I read, I do writing as well. I do some creative writing, and there are people that are much younger than me that are writing short stories as well, and they write these sort of suspense. I like suspense and sci-fi, and it's not that the stories aren't good; they are. But I've noticed a trend in the stories of people that are, say, in their early 20s. And they all have to deal with technology and technology not working, like getting stranded, like car breaking down, getting stranded somewhere and not knowing what to do. And it's like, that's the theme of all of your horror stories. If that's the worst thing you can come up with is that your phone breaks and you don't know what to do, like, we're in trouble.
No, they all have people with no signal, you see, in horror flicks. And that's how they set it up now to get them to be, secluded. And, Verizon and AT&T hate those movies, by the way, because, they have they have coverage everywhere. But really, it's a sign of the times, that we are we're creeping closer to 1984.
And not just that, I think we're getting away from, like, I see things sometimes, like being advertised that are like new. Like I was actually joking about this with Henry the other day. We saw a knife. It's like a cake edger. It's something that's been used for pastries for hundreds of years. It just makes the edge of a cake, when you wipe it around the edge of a cake, it makes pretty, right? My grandma had one, and she passed it down to me. I have it, and they were selling it as like a new device.
No, what's old is new again. But
cutting edge.
Yeah.
One thing that came to mind about these cameras, though, is maybe the government's watching.
I would love for it to. You know what I always tell people?
Though. Think about that.
No, I'll tell you. You know,
all that
no. You know what I think about that? First of all, I work for the government, so I can tell you this with 100,000% confidence. The government is not organized or well staffed enough.
Yes.
Ever.
You missed my point. I was trying to get the conspiracy theorists to get all like, oh my God.
That's always what I tell conspiracy theorists. I'm like, if you think that our government is somehow organized and well oiled enough to literally be watching your every move, you have been watching way too many movies, my friend. That is not.
Hey, Clarissa, I would add, however, a caveat to that. I agree with you. And in my observation, and my dad worked for years and years and years in aerospace, and so he was dealing with the government, and he certainly had a similar view. My uncle, too, for that matter, also in aerospace, pretty similar views. The exception to that I would take, though, is, and we're seeing this played out right now on the national stage. Once they do latch onto you, however, oh my, they're going to find out what they need to find out. Yeah. It's just there are so many people and there are so many distractions that the odds that anyone is paying any attention to you in particular is very low. But
extremely low.
Once they do latch on to you, and this is true for crime, I'm sure you know that, most crime goes unsolved, but once they get their hooks into you, they're probably going to get you. I mean, don't you think that's true? Once all the power and the technology and the money and the manpower, once that ocean liner has been turned around and headed in your direction, it's probably going to get you.
But didn't we have Snowden, though, blow the whistle on that? They were listening to thousands of phone calls.
They are, but they're looking for buzzwords. They're looking for little things that tip that scale into should we listen more, should we not? And 99% of the time, they don't continue listening because it's a buzzword. It goes by. Nothing else is linked to it. They move on. There are people that are monitoring all sorts of things. Is it like a big conspiracy? I mean, Eric, what you were saying, the probability of you actually being tapped into, especially if you're just a regular citizen. Yeah, no, I'm sorry. It just doesn't happen the way people think it does.
I agree with you. All I'm saying is if by some chance you become one of that teeny tiny percentage that they decide they're going to find out everything about, then they are going to find out everything about you.
You might as well. I was like, you just might as well walk into the office. There's no point then, because if they're trying to build a case against you, don't help them in just pretending like you don't know they're there. Just figure it out.
Exactly. Exactly. So technology is not necessarily always our friend. We learned that people will hack your nest and heckle you while they watch you walk by. So,
It's awful. It's so awful to think about that somebody's like sitting there judging you. You know what I mean? Like
that'd be hilarious, though. That'd be hilarious. Why are you doing this? For the free cable?
I know, right? Like, wait, are you eating after 10 p.m.? What are you thinking? Like, no one needs that. It was such a disturbing sort of story. But I agree that like technology is not helping us, and it's certainly not helping us use our everyday senses.
Yeah.
It numbs you to things, which I think is a really sort of disturbing trend.
Very, very disturbing.
And our physical, just our physical state, where we are changing so much faster than evolution can keep up with it. Some of us still have prehensile tails. Think about that.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
And so, the bottom line is we have to remember, I hate going too far in any one direction. I'm so much believing in moderation, but I am concerned that we are outpacing that the technology and that the changes in the way we live our lives is so fast that we're not able to keep up with it. And so that's why, it may be a cliche. It is a cliche. It may even be silly, but things like a paleo diet. I mean, that can have some meaning. I mean, we did evolve over hundreds of thousands of years a certain way. And we've seen so many changes just in the last few thousand years. And we've seen incredible changes just in, hundreds of years. I mean, the pace just keeps picking up. And I mean, I'm afraid we're going to end up like the people on the ship, the spaceship in Wall-E, right? Where you no longer are functional as a physical entity. And that's a really big part of who we are. We do need to be physically fit. We do need to be able to perform functions with our bodies. And that's a key part of being alive.
Well, yeah, that is true. I think it's very important to continue functioning your body.
Thank you.
Well, no, I mean, we don't do that. And I think that, but we've had, the only thing that I kind of console myself with is that we have had periods like this before, right? The Industrial Revolution.
Of course we did.
Was exactly the same, and so there was this huge increase in population, this huge increase in sort of urbanization and moving to urban centers, and that being the big everything, and sort of like the idea of robots and machines taking over the world, and that's not really what happened. There was sort of that backlash against it in some ways, like the American family was really highlighted again after that. Religion was really sort of pushed again after that, because there's this idea that mechanization was sort of destroying that fabric of the American society. So the pendulum swung backwards. And when you look at what's happening in politics right now, is that not what's going on? Is not the pendulum sort of swinging against the technological revolution?
It is.
You are absolutely right.
But
if
you're to go back in time when the car was first introduced, people were backlashing against that like crazy.
Well, exactly. And that's what happens when a period goes too fast. In this technological revolution, now it's all about being religious and being with the family. And so there's all these conservative values being pushed to the forefront, because that's how America anyway responds. So it'll balance out in time. But I do worry that there's like a whole generation of people that say, don't know how to work a rotary phone. It freaks me out.
I love I love rotary phones. I remember those. Mine was attached to a wall.
We still say dial. And think about that. Like, no, dial the phone, and they don't even know what that means. Hang up. What does that?
Yeah, listen to us old timers talk about that antiquated old technology.
Get off my lawn.
Get off my lawn right now.
Well, the last thing
dial tone.
To sort of conclude my thoughts anyway on the whole technology thing. I mean, it's clearly kind of a Hegelian sort of thing where you have the wild pendulum swing to one side, then you have the wild pendulum, you have the reaction to the other side. Then you end up somewhere in the middle. But, it's important to know which swing you're in and try to figure out where you are in that. And I still think that we are not obligated to accept into our lives all technology. Just because it's created does not mean it's good for us.
Exactly. Not everything. That's why it's in moderation, and you select what you use. You don't have to use all this technology. You can put it aside just as easily. I know plenty of people that still have flip phones that refuse to get smartphones. I know plenty of them, and that's just fine too. And it's only as intrusive as you allow it to be.
That is true.
I ran into a woman named Ruth at a secondhand store the other day, and she was buying records, and I was buying records, and she was shocked that I even knew what a 78 was and that I actually had something to play it on. And there was this sentimentality about her. She was a much older woman, that somebody that she considered a lot younger would be doing that. And I guess I just want to encourage people that, adopt as much technology as you want to, but don't totally deride the past.
Exactly.
Because it's important.
Let's move on, though. We're running out of time already. Only 15 minutes left. We still got 2 stories to get wrapped through.
Yes. Okay, so this one, speaking of technology, this is super creepy. But it happens, and it happens more than anyone would like to, that talked about. So do you guys know what a cam girl is? That sort of phrase.
Yes.
Yeah, I might.
So for those of you that don't know, a cam girl is usually somebody that engages in some sort of porn, sexual type activity over the internet, but they interact with people. It's not just like
okay,
they interact with yours. Right. So it's not just like watching porn where they don't know you're there. They taped it at some other time. A cam girl is where they say, "Hey, I'm going to be on camera at 6 o'clock tomorrow, and if you want to tune in,
Lord,
join me. I'm putting on a show for you.
Gotcha.
Just you.
Yeah, webcamming, basically. Yeah, okay,
yes,
I gotcha.
And they collect money from people, so people have to buy in to be allowed to watch, right? And I think that a lot of people, men, get the idea that they're special or that they're the only ones that are watching.
No. I'm sure they're not.
I mean, that's how it's set up, right? That you're you're special, right? Because the woman is the person that's moderating the feed of comments coming in. So she's the one that knows how many people are tuning in, not the people tuning in.
Exactly.
So there was a man named Grant Amato, and he was invested in an online relationship with a Bulgarian woman that he met on one of these porn sites.
Oh no, that's gonna go badly for him.
Yes, he's in Florida, and his older brother actually said this. He feared that he would, quote, kill everybody because his family started sort of putting these sanctions on him, because it turned out that Amato stole $200,000 from family members. Yeah. And used it to interact with this woman that he met on a camgirl website.
Oh, Amato, what the hell you doing, man? Everyone knows those girls ain't real. What are you doing?
He absolutely believed that she was real.
No. They all lie.
He was interacting. Well, yeah. I mean, that's how they make their money, right? But he felt that she was his girlfriend and they were in a relationship.
Yeah, that's what they'll tell you. I got a story about someone very close to me, and I'm not going to name names, that was on a website, for a dating website. Mm-hmm. And the person was trying to take the person I cared about, like financially. It started off to be a slow relation. This was actually a dating website, not this kind of website, but a dating website. And next thing you know, the person starts off to be real slow, be real nice, and next thing you know, they're asking for money. And they're always either architects or they're engineers on these websites, by the way. So if they tell you they're architect or engineer, don't believe them for a second. So they're all lying to you. And so it turns out
nobody knows what they actually do.
Yeah, exactly. So it turns out that this person is they're like sitting in Nigeria, right? Trying to get the money. And there's call centers in Nigeria dedicated to what? Screwing people over on dating websites. So just because you see a picture doesn't mean that's the person you're talking to.
Right. Exactly. Right. So he has no idea who she really is.
Yeah.
I mean, it could be her. Like, is she interacting? Or some of these women, if they're in sort of like a third world country, they have handlers. They're not interacting with you without being monitored.
No.
They're
probably slaves themselves.
Kept.
Yeah, they're probably
exactly right. They're not making the money. Somebody else is, and they're kept in this tiny little room. So anyway, he felt like she was his girlfriend, steals all this money, sends it to her, and when his family really sort of cracked down on him, they put him in a sex addiction program, treatment program for internet sex addiction.
Sure.
And he basically dropped out of this addiction, and he killed his brother Corey Amato, his parents Chad, and his mother Margaret.
God.
Found in an Orlando suburb. Chad, found on the kitchen floor, had been shot execution style along with his wife, who was sprawled over a desk.
Well, what was his plan to meet up with this Bulgarian woman that he met on a dancing website, a camgirl website? Was that the plan?
And apparently this woman, because he's a high profile client, right? He's giving her a lot of money, so
sure.
she was interacting with him more singularly, more personally. So he was interacting, messaging her, and the family basically forbid him from ever contacting her again because she took their life savings. But he was in love with her. He felt like he was in love with her.
But here's the deal, guys, and I'm not sure if you've ever been in a gentleman's club, Eric, but that's a lot like, yep, me too, one time, only once. I swear to God, Mom, only once, and I didn't even look. But if you want a lap dance, for instance, that's no different. You pay a little bit extra, you get that extra attention. Same premise. You pay the money, you get the extra attention. So, It's just the same
I
profession,
gotta
just
tell you
new
guys,
technology.
You're exactly right. And unfortunately, that technology allows the fleecing much more quickly and and much more deeply. It's not just $20 bills, $10 bills, the cash you can haul in there. And a lot of these clubs, I mean, they don't want you to literally go broke and live on the street. That doesn't look good for them. They pay attention, at least to a certain extent. If someone's going just crazy, they're going to take note of it at a club. Whereas, exactly the opposite is there. I had a stripper girlfriend.
You did?
I must tell
girlfriend? Wow, you dated a stripper?
A stripper girlfriend back pre-dawn, obviously, in between marriages. And she was a very interesting person. She was an engineering student who was putting herself through school. And, she was attractive and knew how to use what she had, all the things that you would expect. But it was fascinating to find out and hear her talk, because she did feel bad about it and she did limit it. But she said there were other girls, some of the other, the even higher money makers. I think she was like third, fourth in the club out of dozens and dozens and dozens. But the ones above her didn't have the scruples that she had. And I was hearing these stories, and I ended up even meeting a couple of them. I went to some party, with a bunch of strippers and their friends. I did not ever go see her in the club, though. So I never watched her, never saw her, didn't spend any time in that club. The only time I was ever in there was picking her up or dropping her off. Never stayed, never watched. And that was a hard and fast rule that I had to compartmentalize. But anyway, these men, most of them older, or at least seemed older at the time, probably 40s and 50s, I guess. This is 20 plus years ago, 25 years ago now. And exact same mentality. These men would come in night after night after night, or day after day after day, and give these women all of their money. And they thought they were in a relationship. They thought that they were doing something that wasn't just purely a financial transaction. Or another way of looking at it is super high-end prostitution, where they don't even have to do the final deed. They were, in essence, kept women, but some of these women made more money than the men who were taking care of them. And it is so disturbing and upsetting. And it can only be worse now because of the degree that technology enables, the speed and the volume with which technology enables it.
Sure.
So there's my tale. I observed this in the analog form 25 years ago.
Which that's crazy to think about. Like, I mean, just guilt wise, I would not be able to do it.
No, thanks.
I just wouldn't, because I think that you would, at some level, these people, these men primarily, are kind of falling in love with you, or feeling as though there is a relationship, when you know, as the stripper, that there isn't one.
Sure.
And so it's kind of this weird sort of ethical thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, okay, what happened to our buddy, though? The one, or not our buddy, but the guy that killed his family. I don't want to call him my buddy after I found out what he did. Really disappointed me there.
It's awful. I mean, so his public defender, so he only has a public defender. It sounds like the public defender is sort of indicating that he does have some mental health issues. He was fired from a nursing job. Now he's facing 3 charges of first-degree murder. He's being held in Seminole County Jail in Florida. So
wow, man, he is gonna probably get the death penalty, I would imagine.
I actually would not be surprised. I mean, these are premeditated.
Exactly. All right, got time, just enough time to finish the last one.
Well, this one, I am so interested in this because, you see these sci-fi type films or fantasy or I don't know, like superhero movies where people do this, but you don't actually hear about it in real life. But in real life, there was a Spanish fugitive that had fingerprint implants.
Really? That's a thing?
To stay on the run. It is. And actually, it's not something that I didn't know about. It's just something I don't come across very often. In state prison, the types of guys I'm coming across are not typically wanted by Interpol. You know what I mean? So I'm not coming across sort of this, but this guy was, and he used skin implants. So what happens is you have to burn off the prints that you have now. And typically that's done with acid. Oh yeah, extremely painful, right? So you acid burn all of your fingers in an attempt to kind of smooth them out, right? Because a burn will scar, but it'll smooth them out. So you burn it off, and then he got skin implants to actually change the shape of his prints so that the scars beneath couldn't be detected.
Wow.
That's
elaborate.
Yeah.
It is amazing, is what it is.
And expensive,
I'm sorry,
I would
that
imagine.
Is crazy. Yeah. I mean, expensive takes a lot. I mean, it takes so much dedication. Like when you think about like people just getting regular skin grafts, things like that.
Sure.
Your fingers, something that you are using constantly. You take lots of abuse and rubbing and touching and lifting. Can you imagine how long it would take to heal from something like that?
Oh, for a good long time.
Yeah, they said the process took several years because you have to do the burning, let that heal, sometimes burn again to let that heal.
To regrow.
And then regrow different skin that the implants can attach to that isn't so scarred that it won't take.
Well, wouldn't it be just as effective just to scar your finger so the print would be unreadable?
Well, here's the deal is that scars are also like when they do the fingerprint analysis, they're taking scars into account, right? And the basic whorls and patterns could still be somewhat present beneath these scars, right? So he needed to actually change the shape of his fingerprints themselves because even with the scars, you're going to have some of the whorls visible. So, I mean, he did the entire process. I've never heard of anyone that has.
That's insane. That's like a super
is.
Genius right there for bad, for evil.
It basically, this was
evil.
3 decades. It's 3 decades after a brutal killing that they said that he committed. His name is Nathan Eugene Mathis. He faces a murder charge of a 75-year-old California man that occurred in 1986.
Okay, how'd they get him though? If his fingerprints now are changed, how'd they get him? What was the
and this is the thing. He left a fingerprint at that crime scene. And apparently he knew that he had left this fingerprint. So he went through all of these measures, right, to get his fingerprints changed. But that doesn't mean that they don't have a record of his fingerprints and what they were before. They did.
Gotcha.
It ended up
arrest,
even though he tried to change everything about himself.
Yeah.
So he was wanted. They knew who they were. Essentially, they knew who they were looking for.
That's a strange tale of a man gone too far with his fingerprints.
And ultimately, it failed.
It did fail. After all that money and time, I'd want a refund.
And pain.
Yeah, don't forget the pain. A lot of that.
Although given what he did to this suspect, he stabbed a 75-year-old so badly that the kitchen knife was bent.
Wow.
So do I feel bad about the pain he went for his fingerprint change?
No. I'm glad he got caught. You don't want someone like that around. Now, if it would have been like D.B. Cooper doing that would have been kind of cool.
I know, right?
Then it would have been like, all right, that fits D.B. You get a pass.
Yep. Agreed.
Yeah. If you're that good and that cool, you can get away with it, DB.
Yeah,
not a problem.
I agree with you.
But unfortunately, the man is horrible and terrible and did this, and I'm glad he is off the street and he's where he belongs, in prison, probably awaiting execution at this point.
He may be. I don't know. I just know that they caught him.
Yeah, that's a good thing. Well, guys, we've come to the end of another show, and this is our very first show using the Facebook Live. I've been kind of not wanting to do it for the longest time, but it's not half bad. It's been fun talking with everyone over here at Facebook Live, and also it's always fun hearing from our listeners that are over there at our other stations. So we're gonna get out of here, but tomorrow night, Eric, who do we have on tap tomorrow night? Can I put you on the spot?
You can put me on the spot, but it will have to remain a mystery.
Okay, I will give everyone an update here shortly who tomorrow night's guest for Paranormal Thursday is. Till next time, guys, take care of each other, love each other, and tune in to the newest show on ID Discovery. After Hours AM, a production of Midwest Radio Productions. Please like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. And please visit www.americas-most-haunted.com. This show has been produced